Welcome to the Queerest Podcast, your cosmic guide to the queer universe. Hosted by Andraé BVR, each episode takes you on an interstellar journey through queer culture, identity, and influence. From dismantling media tropes to exploring queer representation, we invite you to challenge norms and expand your horizons. So buckle up and set your phasers to fabulous. Close encounters of the queerest kind await.
Greetings, cosmic queers and allies. I am your host, Andraé BVR, and this is the Queerest Podcast, your cosmic guide through the ever-expanding universe of queer culture, identity, and influence. Today's episode is about the spaces we build and the families we create within them. It's about making room for joy, for connection, for belonging, and then passing that legacy on to the next generation. So here's how we're charting today's course. We'll kick things off with an incoming transmission, checking in on what's lighting up the queer universe. Then we'll beam into a deep space dive with Jayden and Jay Treviño about Preciosa Night and their IVF journey and raising baby Jayden in community. And finally, we'll wrap up with the final frontier, our cosmic rapid fire round of questions. But first, let's scan the queer skies. You are now tuned in to the incoming transmission, our signal check on the queer universe. From culture shifts to policy moves, this is where we track what's changing and how we move through it together. For many, queer spaces aren't just about music, drinks, or dance floors. They're about survival. They're where we meet our chosen family, where we get to be loud and visible, where we find the kind of love and friendship the outside world sometimes tells us isn't possible. And for queer couples starting families, especially through IVF, those spaces are more than just social. They're a foundation, a reminder that we're not building our futures in isolation, we're doing it with a village around us. So today, we're talking to two people who've mastered both, creating a community on the dance floor and building a family in the nursery. Let's beam into today's Deep Space Dive. Jayden and Jay Treviño are community organizers, culture shapers, and now proud parents to baby Jayden. From building an online following to launching the EdenXJ Unfiltered podcast to creating Preciosa Night, a nightlife space centering queer women of color, gender non-conforming folks, and Latiné communities, they built a movement rooted in visibility and joy. And now they're raising the next generation with that same purpose. And as someone who knows them personally, they are easily some of the hardest working people that I know. And I'm so honored to have y'all on the podcast. Welcome, Jayden, Jay, and Jayden.
Yeah. Jayden's first podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Superstar. I love that.
We're super honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us to be on the Queerest Podcast. It's such an honor, both personally and professionally. So thank you for having us.
Of course. Would love to start off with y'all's origin story because you have such a beautiful story that I think needs to be told. So in your own words, how did y'all first meet and what is the one constant in your connection that has carried you through everything y'all built?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
Back to the beginning.
We met on a dating app and Jayden was 45 minutes late to our date. But it worked out, and now we have a baby.
I mean, thank goodness it worked out. I was 45 minutes late because somebody else had another date lined up after me. And so she made our date accommodating to the date that was next. So that was on the West Side. And for those who are not from LA, any point in anywhere in LA, if you hear the West Side, add an hour to get there. It doesn't matter what time, doesn't matter what day, doesn't matter where you are. It's an hour to get there. So neither of us lived on the West Side, but she's like, let's have our first date on the West Side. And I was like, weird. Okay. But I really want to date with this girl. And sure enough, it was because of someone else. But Jay never made it to that second date. And
I did not.
Here we are. I'm just keeping the first date going, honestly. Like, I feel like the moment I stop this first date, she's going to be like, oh, wait, I got to get to that second one. Maybe she's still waiting like 6 years later. Who knows?
That's amazing. I love that. And like, with like specifically just going to like the online dating space, like how did y'all kind of like come across each other? Like what was that kind of first interaction online that wanted you to transition to an IRL moment?
Yeah, honestly, it was so funny because we were on an app where you swipe to, match, and we didn't get to match. We didn't get to like swipe on each other. The app suggested us to each other.
They're like, oh, I think you guys would be a good match. And we were like, well, what else do we have to lose? Everything I've been picking has been bad. So maybe I don't know.
Same. Really same.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And as a bisexual and lesbian couple, you've obviously encountered those moments when parts of our community didn't fully understand it or accept it, whether it was biphobia, misconceptions, stereotypes of dating a bisexual person. How have y'all navigated those experiences together, and what do you wish more people understood about that?
I'll be completely honest. When I first met Eden, I definitely had biphobia, and a lot of my friends, I don't know, gave me side eye when I told them I was dating a bisexual woman. And I had to really face what that fear was. I think at the time I thought, well, bi people cheat all the time. I don't want to, and they're hooking up with men. Like I'm like ill men type of lesbian at that time. And I had like the misunderstanding and like just misinformation, honestly, across the board. And I think it wasn't until we had a conversation where Eden was like, well, what is it that you're scared of? Are you scared of me cheating? Or is it like more of a, like you think I'm going to cheat on you with men? And then Eden just laid it out. And she's like, I'm not a cheater regardless, whether I'm in a relationship with a man or a woman or whoever. So if that's what you're worried about, like that's not who I am as a person. And I feel like that really helped me.
Breaking it down to, people cheat, sexualities don't. So I'm like, what are you asking? Are you asking if I'm a cheater, or are you asking if I'm going to cheat on you with a man? Because if you're asking if I'm a cheater, the answer is no. That's not how I choose to like operate in relationships, because I ask for the same. I ask for honesty, and this is where I stand on cheating. But if you're asking if cheating on you with a man is better or worse, I don't cheat like either or. And you shouldn't see one cheating less than the other. Cheating overall, at least to me, is still cheating. So it doesn't matter who you are and like what you do. My sexuality doesn't cheat. It would be me as a person. So I hope that you see me as the individual and not my bisexuality as something that, has weight in your decision whether or not you choose to give me a chance. And also I was explaining like a lot of what you're fearful of has to do with my past. And I'm not going to, I'm not here to like poke holes at, where your biphobia is, but you also have a past. So it doesn't mean my past is more or less like than yours. We both have dated in the past. Doesn't matter if it was like with a man or a woman, that is the past. If you want to be a part of my future, that part still hasn't been done yet. So I would rather us focus on that than, trying to make ghosts feel real all of a sudden. Like it's not about that. So
and I think that conversation really like painted the picture for me, and no one had ever broken it down like that. Like really got to the depth of what my issue was with bisexuals at that time and point in my life. And like once we had that conversation, it's been smooth sailing since then.
Yeah, you really need to like fight for me too with some of your friendships and dynamics too, because not everybody saw it the way that she did, and she's been such a big advocate for me in my bisexuality and like understanding like this is who I am, and I'm just so proud of her.
I love that. That's so beautiful. You're so cute. And just kind of tapping into a little bit of like the biphobia of it all. And what do you think it is? Because I think bisexuals in general within the wider community, they make up disproportionately the majority of our community, but somehow face the most, and I would say most, but a lot of scrutiny because of the nebulous nature of one's sexuality, which I think people who, fall within like the ideas of binaries of being gay or lesbian may think that it's a choice, that you should make a choice and not be kind of in this state of like both kind of thing. But like, what would be your response to people who don't understand bisexuality, and how can they better understand it?
I think what people are afraid of majority of the time is like, it is the confidence. I think it's the understanding is that bisexuals don't know what they want. So they, leave themselves open to different things or different people. But I feel like that's entirely different. I feel like bisexuals know exactly what they want. And when they vocalize it and say like, hey, this is not what I want, either emotionally or physically or mentally, and they're able to articulate that, it's easier to blame the sexuality, like, oh, it's just because you're bi, versus understanding that it's because of something that I am not giving you, either emotionally, physically, mentally, or spiritually. And that's what it comes down to. People, it's easier to blame something else than looking inward and saying, like, my partner communicated to me that they need more of this, and I would rather not listen and give them more of that and just blame their sexuality and make it their problem. And then I'll just like start over with somebody else. It's really, really the dynamic of like, you know, having to be with somebody who's able to communicate like, hey, I want this, or I need this, or I like this. And I think that scares people sometimes because, you know, you kind of have to put in the work when someone's saying like, hey, I need more of this. And that's my guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I think you're right, and I think it's just a matter of like y'all been so great online, specifically speaking to your identities and really, you know, breaking down misconceptions and stereotypes online. And I think that's been really helpful to have that discourse online and visibility, just because that's not as prominent, you know, among other parts of our community. And I think like y'all are so fantastic about being not only just like advocates for, you know, healthy relationships, but like educators too. And I think that's what's so powerful about your platform that y'all built and kind of the way you've kind of gone about your online presence. And kind of within that, you know, capacity, I'm curious, like you, from your relationship, y'all decided to create an online presence. You also created Preciosa Night, which is so amazing. It has grown so much since you first started. It's like it's your second baby, you know what I mean? And I'm curious, like before Preciosa Night existed, what did you see missing in LA's queer nightlife, and how did that spark the idea to create something new?
Honestly, I think for us, we never felt comfortable in queer spaces 100%. And we always felt like we were the minority, especially when it came to like our culture and like our music and things that we identified with. We're never there. And I think, thank God I have a wife who's like so supportive of my crazy ideas, where I came to her one day and I said, hey, like we've gone to every single queer space and that LA offers, like every single one. I think we did like, I don't know, for 6 months, we were just going out just to see if we can find our community and our space. And we just couldn't. So I came up with this idea of throwing a party that has culture, community, and a lot of queerness, but like POC specifically and Latiné forward for women, identifying women. And so that was also not exclusive to trans or gay men. Like it was non-binary. Like it was just supposed to be like this beautiful space for everyone to enjoy, where we highlight our culture and our community. And she's like, that sounds insane. We've never produced anything. We've never thrown a party. Like
I don't even throw a birthday party.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. And so she was like, that's insane. But like Eden being Eden and always hyping up my ideas and just being my rock. She's like, well, if you really want to do it, let's figure out how to do it and what we need to make it happen.
I told her, I think, give me 4 months to study everything that I can about this topic. And then I'll put together like basically a business plan. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this like right and give it its best shot. And we learned a lot the hard way after like the first one. But Jay is the adventurous dreamer without that, you know, unfailing confidence. And, you know, if she ever was worried, I think I would be worried, but she's never been worried about like accepting a new challenge. And I love to see her like in her element and to dream big. And I never want her to lose that by me just saying like, no, we can't do that. Well, it's like, well, let's try. And like, we'll see where we land. And here we are 3 years later.
Yeah. And I always joke with her. I'm like, I think I'm a cat because I always fall on my feet. Like I land on my feet always, no matter what.
And she's allergic to cats.
I am.
I love that. Honestly, though, like that is so on brand for you, Eden. Just be like, I need to study this. I need to come up with a plan, and then we're going to make it happen. Like that's so you, which I think is so great. And honestly, it's like, that is like the beauty, I think, of your relationship is that you'll have your strengths and you're able to work in tandem in a way that is just so seamless. And I think like that's the superpower of y'all together, is like being able to take what you need to do, take your strengths, and then build something really beautiful with it, which I think is what Preciosa Night and just all the various iterations of it are. But for those who have never been to Preciosa Night, from the music to the crowd to the feeling you want to leave people with? Like, describe it to me.
Well, yeah, go for it.
Oh, actually, I just wanted to speak to like one last thing for the previous topic, just because like I think a lot of people think, we're this like two perfect couple. I think they think, I don't know where they think the perfectness comes from, but like what we put online a lot is that, we started couples therapy like 6 months into our relationship, just not because like there was a problem, but because we knew we didn't have the like tools to be the best versions of ourselves if we were going to, make it all the way to the end. And I think the misconception of couples therapy is that you go when it's too late, and you actually need to go before it's too late, because if you go at the end, then you already know the answer. Like this is probably not going to work. So we went in the beginning, and one of the first lessons that we take through everything that we do, and I think also speaks to why we're such great, not only like partners in life, but like business partners, is because one of the first lessons you learn is to listen. Like, I think we listen to respond and we don't listen to hear. So even with all of Jay's like crazy ideas, it's really couples therapy that has helped me learn, like, don't shoot her down. Like my initial thought is always to like run risk, like analysis. I'm like, this seems risky. No. But like when you constantly tell your partner no, then it's like clipping their wings and they're not able to fly. And the reason why I fell in love with her is her ability to just like fly fearlessly throughout the world. I never want her to lose that. So as scary as it is sometimes, like having that trust in like, whether this goes good or bad, we're going to do it together, but I want to see you fly. And so kind of like improv, you can't say no. So I have to like, and okay, well, let's try this if we're going to make this work. So,
and I think that's genuinely why like she's the love of my life, because I've always felt caged in my past relationships because I have these like grandiose ideas, and I live in the clouds. Like I'm a Pisces through and through, and a super creative person. And she's the first person who's ever allowed me to fly. Like wholeheartedly.
I love that. That's a good partnership. Like that is, supporting you in whatever dreams that you have. Like that's what is the foundation of a successful relationship, is like yes anding, like you said, Eden. And it's like being able to do that together and to build together, I think is just so powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like listening to each other. And that's where Preciosa got to today. And so sorry to like hijack that next question.
No, this is great. Yeah, please.
What can you say? What do you want people to leave with at Preciosa?
Preciosa Night is the queerest carne asada. Like that is the vibe. If I had to put it in one sentence, it's where we literally bring all of our culture, our music, our traditions.
Even the decorations we get at places that you would go get it for like the backyard party.
The quinceañeras. Like we go to like the piñata district, we go to the flower district. Like we go to the places where we give back to our community, like within our community, if we're going to do this like wholeheartedly. And it's the space that you don't have to feel like you choose, right? You don't have to choose between your culture and your queerness. You can be both. And I think what makes Preciosa so special is that we play like the hits now, but we also play the hits of like when you're cleaning in your house with like your grandma, and like when you're a kid and then you wake up, you're like, oh, it's cleaning day, here we go. And then you're just like dancing in your kitchen, and it's like those nostalgic memories of like who we are and what we listen to, and that we get to like just take a breath and feel like this is who we get to be. And the whole like origin story and the whole like reason for Preciosa being that feeling, right? Because it could have just been a party. It could have just been like I think like any other like, crazy party that you would, see online, but we really wanted it to have a feeling. And it was the feeling of, when Jay had come out. And I don't know if you want to speak to your it's true. I mean, that's also the reason why Preciosa Night happened. I've been 6 years no contact with my mom and the rest of my family because I wasn't accepted. And even when I was a kid, when I was 16, I was sent away to live in a foreign country because I was gay. And I could have come back and been closeted my whole life to just make peace, because that's the easier route, to just fake the funk until I felt safe enough to come out. But being the stubborn person that I am, I just came back and I was like gayer than ever.
10 toes down. 16-year-old.
Yeah. And I was like, no, screw that. Like, I don't want to live in the closet. I want to be my authentic self, even if that means losing like my traditions and how I envision my life being and my wedding day and all these things that you automatically assume your family will be part of. They haven't been. But I will say through this whole journey, I've gained this beautiful, like, chosen family that we get to now bring into Jayden's life. And he's beyond lucky with how many supportive tios and tias and tides they have, honestly. And so, yeah, that was also another reason why we created Preciosa Night, because I wanted to bring that. There's so many Latinos, Latines that have to choose one or the other. You're either queer or you're like, full-hearted, like Latino traditional family. Like you either has to live in the closet or you're exiled. There's no in between. And I think Preciosa Night brings kind of both of those worlds together. And there's a lot of people that come that literally grab us in the club and they're like, I outside of these walls, I am closeted, but I come to Preciosa because I can just be and I can feel everything and I feel represented and I feel like supported and this is my family. But after I leave these parties, I have to go back in the closet with my family who's homophobic and super traditional. And those stories really stay with us. I think that's what pushes us and motivates us to do more of these events, is because for a lot of people, this is their safe haven. It's like their church.
Right.
Queer media, there isn't like really anything that we've seen or like a place where it really like touches on that story, right? Where you get to be queer and you get to be, Latin. It's like you get to be that, but you still want to be a part of it. It's like, don't talk about it. Don't show it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to hide that part of yourself. And at least for, queer women and, specifically, we were like, this isn't a part of us that we want to hide. And it's crazy that you were told to be straight and like hide who you were. And now you're just like everywhere all over the world. You're saying, no, anybody who was like me and felt that way that I felt, like, you don't have to feel that. You don't have to be that. And I'm creating hopefully the next generation of people who can be confident within themselves. And I think you just need to see it, other people do it, to believe that it's possible sometimes.
Yep.
And so even when it's hard, even when we're tired, even when it's so expensive to like move this party from the West Coast to the East Coast, we never want someone to go like in this world feeling that lonely feeling that we had felt, feeling like we couldn't just be ourselves. So we wake up, we like throw on some lipstick and, maybe get to brush our hair sometimes, and we keep it going, and we know, because it's bigger than us, and we're going to ride this until the wheels fall off, I guess.
And I think that's crazy too, right? This party started in the smallest little bar in downtown LA. Capacity was like 100 people. And the first party we threw, we had 500 people out the door trying to get a small space. And that was the moment that we realized, I think we tapped into something crazy. And ever since then, it's just grown. Like, we just had Pride in LA and New York. We had 1,000 people show up in our New York party. The biggest crowd we've ever had. It was kind of like a full circle moment. And to Eden's point, like we've extended, we have residencies in Chicago, LA, San Francisco, and New York. So we're in those places every other month. And yeah, it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, honestly, literally, you segued so perfectly into the next question, actually, which was obviously over the years, Preciosa has grown into speed dating events, Preciosita, national tour, Para Todos Festival. What sparked that evolution, and how do these different events serve your community in unique ways?
I think we both bring different things to the table, and I think that's how it works out. Eden is so good at community building, and our smaller mixers, speed dating, like the real niche, smaller. And I love the big parties. Like, I literally was the kid that was falling asleep during like the biggest like music, speakers everywhere, like the traditional Latin family household. So for me, like, I find a lot of comfort in like big spaces. So we kind of just like divide and conquer.
I think what we do is we listen that we treat Preciosa, it's not like one size fits all. It's not a copy and paste type of thing. We really think about, everybody's experience in the places that we are in. So as somebody who, grew up in the Bay Area, I know that the Bay Area sounds different than the LA sound. When we are in New York, we make sure to know like what are people listening to in New York? What is their cultural vibe? Like, people forget that Jay is not Mexican, and I'm, Mexican and Native American. So people, I think, group Latin into one category, but it is so different. And we make sure to amplify that diversification. Like, sometimes we'll have a mariachi band, but, it depends on the location and the party. So it's not always one size fits all. And like, Latin is literally so diverse. So Preciosa in itself tries to match that to the best of our ability. And when we really think about what does community means different things. Like, it's not always like to the masses, like Jay said. I love when, I love to work the door. Like, people are surprised. They're like, Eden, like, what are you doing here? You're like scanning me in. I was like, this is my favorite part. I love like the one-on-one conversations, because sometimes people will be like, let me tell you about my ex, or can I get your advice on this thing? Or like, my family was this, or I came out later in life as bisexual, and like, can I get your advice? And for me, like, those moments are so special because I'm more of like a one-on-one communicator that loves to like help people. And Jay is a person that could absorb a lot of energies all at once really quickly on a big stage with thousands of people. And like, that's her element. And I think the one-on-ones make you a little nervous sometimes.
They do. It's so funny.
Well, opposite.
The smaller the event is, the more I'm like super nervous. But like, throw me in a room with 1,000 people and I'm like, hi, everyone. How are we doing today?
Got it. This is where we're at.
I love that. And a quick question, like, what did the name Preciosa, like, why did you choose that name over other names for this event and movement, really?
Yeah, I think it was so funny because we had a list of names when we were coming up with the first Preciosa Night. We wrote down every name that we thought it could be. And I think when it came to Preciosa, the night feels very precious to us. It's kind of like this beautiful, magical night. And we felt it just made sense. Like, there's a bunch of Preciosas in all of us, and we should have this super precious night that we protect. And
I think people think too, like, the Spanish language is, I'm a no sabo kid, like, through and through, and I'm working on it. But one of the things that I've learned that always stuck with me is that there are so many different ways to say beautiful. Like, I think when you think about the English language, it's like, okay, beautiful means beautiful. And there are a couple other ways to say it. But if you look in the Spanish like language, there's many different ways to say things, and it sounds like so romantic. And then when we were thinking about what is our intention, we knew we wanted it to have like a Spanish name. And when we were thinking about what makes something beautiful, like Preciosa came up, and it was like a word that we had said many times before. Like, it just felt right. Like, we just kept saying it over and over and over again. And we're like, why does this sound so familiar? Like, it feels like we've been here. Like, it was just those, aha moments.
Right.
And then when we started to like share it with other people and shop it around, we're like, hey, what do you think about us starting a night called Preciosa Night? A lot of people were like, I don't think you should call it that, because then you're going to pigeonhole yourself. And there's not a lot of queer Latinos out there. And they're like, I think you're gonna struggle a bit to get this going. And then we're like, really? And we asked other people who, were event producers that had been doing this, right? We had never done it before. And we could have listened to them, but I think deep down in our heart, we were like, no, we really want people to know who this is for. We're gonna keep it in Spanish. And they even said, like, people can't even pronounce that sometimes. So I'm like, well, then maybe it's not for you. Like, it's, you can try and experience it, but we want people to know what we're about and like who this is for, and that everyone is welcome. But when we really, really think about, if you're going to come to a party, it's going to be Preciosa. And what is a Preciosa? And this is who she is. And we've created this community that's all about like love, communication. We're like ending the toxicity. So this is not that.
Yeah. Like, we literally, every party, we have house rules, and we'll get on the mic and we'll have 5 house rules that every single party, we set the tone. Like, consent is key. Mm-hmm. Behind these walls, no means no. Don't fuck it up for the rest of us. We don't want drama behind these, like, within these 4 walls. Like, just like really basic communication. Like, this is who's throwing it. So you need to understand like what's expected of all of you. And they resonate with it. Mm-hmm. Like, knock on wood, we've done this for 3 years mm-hmm. now. We've never had an issue. No fights break out.
Wow.
Like, no.
Well, I feel like you've set the ground rules. You're saying no toxicity here, and it's like this community that attends your events, like, they want to be there, so they don't want to mess that up. They want to make sure that they get to enjoy the night just as much as everybody else. So it's like, I think y'all did a great job of being able to like create that ethos, and then it just kind of like permeate the space that you're in, and people just kind of get on board for that. And I love that so much. And I have a quick question for you, actually. So you guys have a Para Todos festival coming up, and I would love to hear a little bit more about that, because it sounds like an evolution of Preciosa a little bit, right?
Yeah, we are so excited for this festival, and the city's backing it up, which rarely happens to grassroots movements like ours. The only downside is that we have to put it on in 7 days. So
whoa.
Christ.
Yeah, this just happened, and we're super proud and pumped, but also like, whoa, that's a lot of responsibility. You know, we have to like get EMTs and create a whole lineup and have food trucks, and like, what does that look like? What's our capacity? Vendors, like it's a whole, it's a lot, but
yeah. Oh no, it's a lot. And every time when she comes to me with these like ideas, I'm like, remember, yes, and like, you know, if anybody can do it, it's us, because we always think about like, as much as I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I love you all, but as much as I want to know and be like, you know how much like extra sleep I can get? That sounds so nice right now. I'm remembering who it's for. And like, this is really such a labor of love. It is like a free event to the community. We were like, if you want to leave a $5 donation so we can like reimburse some of these decorations, fine. But if not, like no one will get turned away. And it's so important, because when we think about like, we're new moms now, and this is like the first like all ages, like kid friendly, like opportunity we get. You know, you don't want to pass up on something like that, because we don't know if it's going to be available to us next year. We don't know what like the next year is going to look like. And politically, these times are so dangerous that as exhausted as we are, we want to take advantage of every opportunity that's given to us to bring our community together, because we would hate for there to be a day where this isn't something that's possible. And that's scary. It's a scary thought, right? And as you know, it's a sacrifice, but we're willing to make it if, you know, the community keeps showing up. Like, that's the only, you know, trade-off. Like, if we do this, you know, it's for you. So as long as you keep showing up, that means like, you know, we keep doing what we're doing and you guys still want it.
Yeah, no, Eden's spot on. Like, I always think, I know she like deep down, she's like, stop accepting things.
You stop saying yes,
stop saying yes, and. But in my mind, I think about like, okay, if I turn this opportunity down, who does it go to? And really honest, a lot of these opportunities, whether it's us taking over LA Pride stages or teaming up with the city, it's going to be either, you know, a cis white person that's going to take over, or, you know, a queer white person taking over. And for me, that's why I do it. As tired as I am, and I am exhausted, I think about those things. That is what I think. I'm like, okay, well, who's taking this spot? There's no one else that is doing what we're doing right now. So we kind of have to. We owe it to the community. We owe it to ourselves and the movement that we've built. So that was all I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I'm just curious, like, when you first started Preciosa Night, like, what made you think like to take this on a national tour and go across the country to just, you know, Chicago, New York, like everywhere? Like, what spurred that as motivation for you to expand outside of just like the LA, Long Beach area?
I always listen to our community. I read every single DM, and we get a lot of them.
The comments.
People are in our DMs and our personal page and on Preciosa, because they know that we run it. And I listen more than anything. So I kept seeing like, bring it to New York, bring it to New York, bring it to New York. And I looked at Eden like, hey, I know we've never done a tour, but it would be cool if we could bring it. It seems like they want it over there. They don't have it. Can we kind of figure out like a budget or save for this tour and see if we can do it? And once we did a poll of like, hey, if we bring this on the road, where should we bring it? The amount of responses were insane.
It was so scary. I'm not going to lie, the first time that we dropped down in New York, because like the West Coast obviously knows who we are. And maybe it's the blind, like we don't know any better.
The blind leading the blind.
So it's just like, you know, the scare factor isn't there. But when we touched down, I think the venue fit like 600 people. And we had maybe 100 tickets sold. And we had like 2 days before the event. And so literally like Jay and I like hit the ground running in a city that we don't really know where anything is, where the queers are at. So we're just like, Googling things. And this was before, not before, but like TikTok was really, really helpful for us to like figure out where the gays go. And we put a call out on our social, like, hey, New York, like we're here. We need like a tour guide to like help us figure things out. Like who's down to like help us hit the ground running and let people know what this is about. And we had a girl pop up. Her name was Liz. And then after we did that, I was like, man, we could have really had a scary person just like come and know where we are and like never see us again. Dateline episode. I was like, well, that was a good idea. But thank goodness we did, because Liz showed up and she's just been a big part of our, our East Coast Preciosa movement, because she's like, let me show you the neighborhoods. Let me show you where to go. This is where all the queers are at. And we literally went to every single neighborhood and we're like, hey, this is who we are. This is Preciosa. We do this in LA. Like, we'd love to see you in New York. And then like 600 people showed up in 2 days. We were able to and I think that's the beautiful part about the Latin community, right? Like once word gets out, then you're in everybody's group chats, you're in everybody's WhatsApps. Like, hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Because there isn't something like that on the East Coast either. So they're like, let's just go check it out. And then everybody had a great time. And then we were like, okay, we did it. I don't know, did we get lucky? Like, let's try it again. And here we are, 3 years later with an even bigger East Coast community. And we're just really, really grateful for the footprint that we're leaving over there. And then we kind of did the same thing with Chicago, a little scary at first, but then we pulled it off.
But I think that's the beauty, right? Like, I don't know, the unknown never scares me, honestly. Yeah. I just think about, okay, if we fail, then we won't fail again, because you've learned all the mistakes in the first time. And at least that's how I view it.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of, that's been the formula where like, even if we fall flat on our faces, that's the bottom line. It can only go up from here. So
exactly.
Yeah. And we've learned so much from every Preciosa, because it's different every place we go to. I think that's what makes it extra special as well. And it's crazy because when we came back to LA, we had like an LA party, and there was like this big venue booker who's like, oh, hey, I saw you through that party in New York. That's so crazy, because like New York is the hardest market to get into. Like LA is nothing compared to New York. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, no, like there are big DJs that like just dropped down and they have like nobody come, and you guys just did it. And I was like, well, thank God I didn't have this conversation before we left, because I was like, oh, LA, if we could do that there, we could do it in New York. But come to find out, which we've learned
and
now,
it's very
New York
hard.
is hard. That crowd will tell you suck to your face.
Oh my gosh.
Haven't had that, but they tell you are amazing. And so as long as we keep the New Yorker vibes going, it's good. But they're honest. They're very, very honest. But that's why I love New York too, because they don't care about like their hair being all wet, or like they're there to have a good time from like doors opening to doors closing. And that's what makes New York very, very special.
Yeah, I love New York too. I think they're very honest people, and I think that's both a gift and a curse. But you know what I mean. But when they say it, you know that they mean it. So you're like, okay, like I've made it. You know what I mean? I love that. So I want to pivot the conversation a little bit now to discuss parenthood and IVF. Now that obviously Mr. Jayden is here. First of all, so freaking adorable, by the way. But I want to kind of ask y'all, like, for your IVF journey, like, what stood out to you the most? Like, what tested you or surprised you or taught you something you'll never forget? And what's one thing you'll tell another queer couple who's starting that process?
I think our biggest shock was realizing that our eggs dropped significantly after the age of 25 to all women across the board. And I think in our heads, we had this timeline of like, by this age, we're going to have the baby or try to have the baby, not realizing that like our internal clocks are ticking away and our chances of having a baby are like slimming down every single year. And I don't think women talk about like that often.
The age thing is a bigger deal than we kind of thought, right? I think, oh, hi, baby. I'm so sorry. We're talking about you. I know. There you go. So when it comes to IVF, I think we thought there's two of us, right? So we're going to be just like rolling in eggs, and it's going to be an easy process. So there wasn't a lot of information out there, with people who look like us and sound like us and don't come from money, don't have a family backing, don't really have a lot of like resources available to them. It's just kind of the two of us holding each other's hand and figuring this out. So when we were doing our research and when we were trying to figure out what does our plan look like and what age do we think we want to do it at, it wasn't like we had that option, because once we started the testing process to just see where our fertility journey, lands between the both of us, Jay got some like really unfortunate information that her hormones were like really low. So we had to start like yesterday. And then for me, I was working with like one ovary, which I had no idea. And that ovary already had such a low supply. So both of us were like not rolling in the eggs we thought we were going to be rolling in, obviously being so young. And we were like, okay, something that nobody told us was how long the IVF process can be too. So we started this journey 4 years ago, and it's taken us 4 years to get Jayden here. And when we were thinking about like, how much, right? Because that's a hard question that people don't really talk about. They just say, I'm going to do it at whatever cost. And that cost may feel like it's never going to end. And as somebody who like runs a lot of numbers, I told her like we need to have an honest conversation about how much are we willing to put into this? Like what is our cap? Like where are we have to have one, because I don't want to lose our relationship because this is just taking over everything in our whole lives. Like I don't want to go into this if we're going to be either divorced or single parents because we've given it everything, like too much. And that was an honest conversation that people don't tend to have. And so we both said, like, because we did mini IVF and the medication is like about $5,000 each time you try. And 10 out of 10 recommend mini IVF because it has a smaller price tag than the original IVF. And the clinic that we have, we're pioneering in this like mini IVF space because they believe like, hey, you don't need 20 embryos. You just need like one. You just need one technically to work. And like just even pulling back on the medication and like on the amount of eggs that you pull out pulls back on the price tag. So for us, we're like, okay, we'll do 2 rounds each. So it's like $10,000, a person.
And that's just like the
meds.
That's just the meds. Like this is not the price tag for the procedure, the extracting the eggs, the making the embryos. All of those have different price tags. So yeah, we're like, this is our hard number. We'll each only do it twice. And if it doesn't work, we also had that conversation, which is also a really important conversation when you're trying to have babies. What happens if it doesn't work? What is our plan B and our plan C? And we were both open to adoption. We were both open to surrogacy if that was the route that we have to take to avoid us, I don't know, just ending in bad terms, just financially and emotionally. Because that's another thing that when my first round of eggs didn't work, I was super depressed because internally, as a woman, you're told your entire life that you are able to procreate. Like it should be relatively easy. I don't smoke. I don't drink that much. I'm relatively healthy, like from, all around. And so for it not working, it really made me spiral.
You took it personally.
Yeah, I took it super personal. I was like, what's wrong with me? Like I should be producing eggs and I'm not. And you can't help but feel depressed, honestly.
What I really appreciate about, again, like our clinic, and I can't rave about Hayabusa enough. This isn't like a paid ad for them at all, but just my honesty is because the doctor that we had halfway through Jay doing IVF round 1, she's like, I think we should pull out. Like save your money. Like we're only halfway through. She's like, it's your choice. But my professional opinion is like, we're not getting anything. Jay's body is like not responding. She's like, I think we stop now. Don't put Jay through the surgery because I don't feel like we're going to get any good results. Save your money, save on this. Let's take this data, switch things up because I'm not going to do the same thing and expect a different result. And we're going to try this again when you're ready. And she always left it up to us. She's like, I will do the surgery for you. We can finish this all the way out to the end if you want to, but it's your choice. And then Jay, we stopped obviously halfway and we were like, okay, we're going to listen and we're going to change things up and we're going to try again. And if it wasn't for that advice, right? Because at the end of the day, like IVF is like a money-making machine. And for a doctor to be like, save your money, like, let's be honest here, like, let's just stop. They could have not said that. We could have just kept, throwing stuff like money at this until the end of time. But that's that trust. That's that quick thinking. That's that, hey, it's not working. Let's change it again and like try something different. And round 2, with all the changes that were made, Jay ended up having the most insane results that the CEO of the company ended up personally calling her to say, like, I have never seen numbers like this, even from like a 20-year-old trying to freeze their eggs. Like, this is wild. You did so great. And like, congratulations. And now we have 6 perfect, practically embryos in the bank frozen from Jay. And then when it came to like my turn, I was like, great, this is going to be so easy for me. I'm going to be rolling in it. And then we ended up finding out halfway through that I have like 1 ovary that I'm working with. And I was like, okay, it's going to be hard for me too. Hi, puppy. Yeah, that's talking about you. We're talking about you. He's like, hold on, I know the story.
That's really, I mean, that's really emotionally, I'm sure, taxing, just having to deal with like the variability of it, where you're like not sure what's going to happen next. But like, it's beautiful to know that like with the right team behind y'all, that you were able to really achieve your goal of having, Mr. Beautiful Jayden right there. And I think that's amazing. It's both the resilience of y'all, but also just like the amazing support y'all had in making that happen. I think is just so inspiring for those who are trying to have families out there right now. So y'all made the conscious decision to give birth in Mexico versus the United States, which I think is such a big decision, but I think it seems like it was like the right decision for y'all. Can you share a little bit about like what went into that decision and the experience of it all?
So the decision, believe it or not, changed for us to get married in Mexico, to give birth in Mexico. At first, when we were really thinking about it, we were like, with the current political climate going in the direction that it's going in, worst case scenario, what is our baby's like backup plan, right? Like, we need him or her at that time to like have an exit plan from this country if things were to go super south and like we lose our rights. Like, that's the thing you have to think about, or at least we think about as parents, right? It's like no longer about us, and we have to really think about our child's future, whether we're having the hard conversations or not. So that's what it came down to. We were like, okay, well, if he was a dual citizen, then he has the option to leave or have somewhere else to be if things get really bad here. And so we thought like, okay, well, let's check out some of these doctors in Oaxaca and in Mexico. And we ended up doing a bunch of research, and we found this like one doctor in particular that has a perfect 5 stars from almost like 1,000 births that she's already given.
Wow.
Raving about her. So we went and had an interview with her, and the couple ahead of us flew all the way from Japan to give birth with her specifically. And we were like, you know what? Like, this seems like amazing. And like, when we met with her, she was just so compassionate and knowledgeable and in a way that's like so honest. She thinks about the mother as well as the baby. And so when we first went in, I was like, oh, I'm going to help breastfeed. I'm going to do induced lactation. So even though I'm not the birthing mother, I want to like help and support. Right. And she's like, if you want to do that, like, I, commend you. But if you do interfere with the bonding experience between Jay and the baby, it could cause longer postpartum depression, and you can be intervening with the opportunity for them to have a connection and to bond. And no doctor in the US was kind of saying that, because she's like, you have to preserve the mother's health as well as the baby's. It was just like, oh, what do you want to do? Okay, it's going to cost this much. Here's the prescription. And it really was so refreshing, and it really built that like trust. And then politically, when things started to get really, really bad, and we were thinking like, will we be able to bring our son back into this country if we do decide to give birth over there? So then we changed our minds.
Halfway through our pregnancy.
Yeah, halfway through, we were like, you know what? Let's just give birth here. Everyone's in our ear kind of telling us like, that's kind of risky and like, you shouldn't do that. And then when Jay was having her doctor's appointments, like progressively, we would never have like the same doctor every single time. We would just like come in. It kind of felt like cattle. Like, They were just like roughly kind of roll over her belly. They're like, yep, still alive. Okay, keep it going. Like, see you in a month. And Jay started to have like really bad pains, and she just, I think, instinctively knew something was wrong.
The thing is, I think what we should also say is that our donor is 6'4". And I am 5'2". Like, I have a 6'4" personality, but I'm definitely 5'2". And so realistically, as Jayden was growing in my belly, I felt like he was growing way too fast, way too big for what my body could take. Honestly, it was like a Chihuahua having a husky. And
I love that so much.
And so I was a cute Chihuahua, but I was definitely big. So I kept telling my doctors, like, his moving was slowing down the bigger I got, or the 7, 8, 9 months, I just felt a drastic change in the way that he was moving in there. And I couldn't breathe. Like, there were times where I literally couldn't breathe because I felt like his foot in my chest. Like, it was just insane. His arms would mess my ribs up. My feet were beyond swollen, like beyond what I've seen online. It was just, I didn't feel it was right. And every time we'd go to the doctor, maybe we went to 2 urgent cares appointments, and every single time they're like, it's normal pregnancy symptoms, like, it's not a big deal, like, just suck it up. Like, that was like what I was given.
Then she had like one of the appointments too. Actually, we did 3 urgent cares because she had this really bad cough since like January, now going up to May, that now she couldn't breathe, and they were like, that's normal. I'm like, I don't think it's normal to not breathe. I'm not a doctor, but it kind of felt like they kept brushing everything up as normal. And so it was random. We were walking. I brought it up. I was like, I really think we should revisit the Oaxaca conversation. Like, I really think that, we felt the heard, we felt the most secure, like the pricing of everything after we found out how much it was going to cost for us to give birth here. It was going to be like $15,000, even with like good insurance. Like, I'm paying $1,000 plus a month in insurance, and it's still going to be this expensive. It was just like, let's like revisit this conversation. So sure enough, like, we were like, okay, you're due in like 4 weeks. If we're going to do this, we have to do it now. So I
think I got desperate, honestly. I was tired of them not listening to me. And when we talked to the doctor, we called the doctor again, the Mexican doctor, and we're like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Like, what are your thoughts?
Remember us? Months ago.
And I was like, that doesn't sound normal. I would recommend coming in and having me do like a full scan of like what's happening. And and another thing, I knew that he was going to be a big baby, I just felt it instinctively. And I kept telling the doctors here, I want a C-section. Like, I want to schedule a C-section. I don't want to do a natural birth. I don't think my canal was like built for this baby. And they were like, no, we can't do that. You have to try natural birth. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll do a C-section. And I was like, that's bullshit. Like, it's my body, my choice. And I'm telling you, I don't want a natural birth. So that also made me really think like, okay, can I, and that was my second question to her. I was like, can I have a C-section? And she's like, you can have whatever you want. I was like, great, I'm on a plane tomorrow. Like, we're leaving.
Yeah, because your due date is coming up, and if it's this complicated, then we need to get you on a flight tomorrow. So that's what it was. We had like packed up everything in like 2 days, and we didn't know when we were coming back. We didn't know if we were coming back. Like, it was such like a gamble, and I'm not I know, puppy.
Oh.
I'm not be like, let's just do this very, very risky thing. But it felt riskier, if I'm honest. Her giving here, there was just something that was, just saying it wasn't right. So we landed on Sunday. We had our doctor's appointment on Monday. And in one scan, she was like, your amniotic sac fluid is almost empty. The cord is wrapped around his neck twice. That's why he's not moving. We're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And it was just like, we just were like, yes, this is what we were saying. Like, if we had waited till Jay was full term, like the doctors were saying, like, I don't think Jayden would be here. I don't think Jay would be here. We had a complication called placenta previa early on in her pregnancy, which is very like high risk and kind of dangerous. And essentially, like, the placenta previa like healed and fixed itself on the scan in both the US and in Mexico. And when Jay ended up giving birth, and this is a topic I'm like not exactly ready to talk about just yet because
Yeah.
I'm still like healing for it. But basically,
Absolutely.
she had a very complicated birth, and the doctor had to make like a very split-second decision to like save Jay's life. And then,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, she couldn't save like Jay's ability to have kids. So Jayden is Jay's only one that she can
Yep.
have.
Yeah.
And then Jayden also wasn't born. He also had complications as well when he was born. So I commend the doctors for acting so quickly. And if he wasn't taken out when he was taken out, like I wouldn't have both of the most important people in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm like really, really thankful. And I think a lot of people were like judging us and being like, why are you giving birth in Mexico? Like everything's like so crazy here. And it was like, there was like protests and it was like a lot and it was scary, both happening in LA, and it just felt right. And I keep thinking like our guides and our spirit and our like, the people who are looking out for us on the other side, that we made this choice because like I 100% believe that they wouldn't be here if we had stayed. Now they're here. And
yes, they are. They're beautiful. They're here. And it's honestly like y'all are so brave. And honestly, the fact that the bravery, I think, comes from specifically trusting your intuition and not, unfortunately, in this case, not listening to the doctors, because the doctors, specifically in the US, would have led you on a path that would have not been great. But like the fact that y'all took the initiative, you listened to Jay and you listened to just what she needed to do, I think is so powerful. And I think it's a testament to what, birthing individuals need to be doing, is listening to themselves and understand that sometimes the doctor may not have always the best, response, and getting second opinions and all these other things that I think are so crucial to have a safe pregnancy and just ensure the safety of both the mother and the child. So I think like y'all are, again, another example of y'all trusting your instinct and it proving to be the right decision, because you guys are freaking superstars and continue to, push the envelope and make amazing things because of you trusting yourselves. Like that's something I don't think a lot of people have the ability to do, is trusting themselves. Like, what do you think that trusting yourself and Jay trusting herself, what do you think that's based off of? And what would you recommend to other people who may not have that same level of trust of themselves?
I think it comes with having such a supportive partner, if I'm honest. Like I could have brought this idea up to Jay and been like, hey, I think we need to revisit this conversation of giving birth in Oaxaca. And it's like having the supportive partner and trust, like we're going to figure it out, together. And she also said, okay, yes. And like, what do we need to do? Like, let's do it. If we're going to do it, let's do it. What do we need to do? And it's going with each other's gut and knowing like, hey, we're going to just go in, wholeheartedly together, and that trust in not only yourself, but that we're going to figure it out as a team. I think when you have a partner that can be your teammate, is like rallying in the same corner as you, is fighting with you and not against you, anything is possible. Like uprooting your whole life in 2 days and moving to Mexico and giving birth and like doing this and doing it together, no matter what complications may come ahead of time. If this feels right, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it together. And I think that is a testament to his birth, to IVF as a whole, to marriage, to our relationship. It's like, how are we going to get through this together? Once we made the choice to do it together, I think everything is a choice. And you just have to make that choice, right? Like we're choosing to do this thing, and like we're both writing it. And I think a lot of people don't even make a choice. Like that's where it stops, right? They're like, oh, right. I don't know. And then nothing happens. Right. So I think just making the choice and being like, okay, let's go all in. And you got me and I got you.
Obviously, now that y'all are parents, what has been like the biggest thing that's changed in your work, your community, any specific lessons you've learned in the process of now becoming parents?
I would say the biggest thing that we've learned is, chosen family changes. It's really hard to do everything on our own. And I think we could do it all by ourselves, but asking for help is so key. But it's really beautiful to see people offering the help. With Jayden being born, we've had people that showed up that we didn't think were going to show up. And then we had people disappear who we thought were going to be there. And so it's really been a really interesting and eye-opening experience as new parents because we need the help. Even
Pinky down.
Pinky down. And it's like, you don't have hands. And I think we've learned a lot as new mothers. And as we are new mothers, now we're entering this stage of like, how do we give back to new moms? And what does the evolution of Preciosa parents look like? And what would you say has been the biggest lesson?
I think my biggest lesson is not losing ourselves in it as well. I think for me, I was worried that I was going to be like the cliche mom, like just like, oh my mom, I love him to death, like absolutely will murder for him. But I also didn't want to just be mom. And I think for me, that was my biggest thing that I was worried about, was losing my individuality. Aside from being a mother, I'm also Jay, and I'm also like doing a million things that make me happy that don't necessarily correlate with being a mother. And that having a partner that allowed me to DJ literally 4 weeks after giving birth, because that's what I wanted and that's what I felt I needed at the time, because I was dealing with a little bit of postpartum depression in the beginning, and this was such a big adjustment, and I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to be myself. And just having a partner that was like, cool, if you want to jump on a plane and, you know, I'll stay back with him in Oaxaca and you can go DJ at LA Pride, go do it. If that's going to make you happy, go do it. I want you to be happy.
Yeah, she was battling a lot with the thought of the internet judging her for not just being a mom, like for just not just like 100% being that. And I had to just, you know, when you talk about that support, and I was just like, I'm sorry, them. Like, they're not the parent, you do you, like, and if that's what makes you happy, if that's going to keep you happy and sane, do it. Whatever you got to do, like, I'm here to support you. Like, you had been carrying him for like 9 months and doing all of this insanely hard work. I got him. Like, I got him from here until however, you know, long you need me to, you know, support you in this way, because I don't want to see you lose yourself. I don't want to see you crying in the corner because you're sad at, like, you know, not being able to go outside. Like, go, if that's what you need, go outside, and it's fine. Like, I can stay back, and I don't mind that at all. I think people think like it's like this dynamic where like I'm missing out on so much. I was like, I hope you all remember, I had to carry Preciosa by myself for like 9 months, and I am exhausted. So I'm happy to stay home with the baby. I'm like, you go handle the crowd and the craziness, and I'm okay like switching off. And if we get to do it together, that's amazing. If she gets to do it and that's what she wants to do, also amazing. And it's just this partner in this dynamic, right? Like, we want to make sure that we take care of ourselves and what makes us happy, as well as showing up happy for our son. Because if we're resentful, if we're, you know, just angry and exhausted and like all of those things, it's not showing up for him in our most authentic way. So whatever parenting looks like for us, that's us. And that's the way that we're parent. And like, you do you, we're going to do us, and it is what it is. And not taking the comments personally. Like, I think you posted, like, we had posted us making a bottle, and people were like, oh my God, you're not breastfeeding. And it's like, it's not your breast. So why are you worried about it? Like, it's wild, the unsolicited information that goes out there.
I think that's like that's the bad of like being these influencers or social media personas, is that there's always opinions on everything that we post.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. And I'm curious, like, with it's a little bit double clicking into kind of what you're saying about like retaining your identity as both, you know, Jay and as mom. Like, why do you think that's so important? And I guess what tips would you have for other parents who maybe are struggling with that on their end?
While I was pregnant, I couldn't find a representation that I saw within myself, right? Like, I knew I want to be the best mom to him I can be, but I also know that DJing and nightlife and throwing events and, you know, traveling, like, those are all part of me as well. And how would that mesh? Like, I was so scared that they wouldn't mesh and I would have to choose one or the other. And I had to be like this picture perfect mom that I see all over social media, that stays home. And it's just like, baby is life, baby is everything. There's nothing outside of baby. And yeah, I think just like having conversation with Eden and just being completely honest with myself that, you know, I'm not that. I'm not, I will never be that. That's not who I who I aspire to be, and my individuality is super important to me. In order to be the best mom for him, I have to be able to like fill my creative cup. And just, I think just having an honest conversation with Eden and just being like, you know what, like screw the internet. If they're going to get mad at me for DJing and being a mom and not being what they think a perfect mom is, then I just need to deal with it. And as long as it makes me happy. And I think that's the number one rule. As long as it makes you happy and you're not hurting anybody and you're still showing up for your child, then screw them. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think the crazy part is that people think like, oh, you have to stay at home with the baby because the baby needs its mom. Well, guess what? He has two. So what difference does it make? He's got to be with me too. Like, we need that. So, I mean, what other excuse do you have? Like, it really was, we were so scared to continue to be us because we were afraid that the internet was going to judge us for not just 100%. This is our day in our life at home where we just sit and watch the baby breathe.
Right.
like, okay, he was in the club with us last night, setting up decorations. We were like, doing sound check.
And it's that. We don't live we don't live a normal life, period.
No.
So he's going to be at the club. Like, he's going to be in the green. That is his life. That is what his moms do.
With us. Like, he went to Portland. He's been to Mexico City.
He's gonna go to New York in October for
amazing.
Like, it's just what it is.
And he doesn't know any different. And he's like, babies are resilient. I think people think like, I mean, and some babies, obviously not every baby's the same, but at least ours is like pretty sturdy. Maybe it's the donor. Like, that's that made him pretty hefty.
Well, I will say he sleeps with loud noises. Like, he doesn't like quietness at all. It scares him, if anything, if it's too quiet. And I do think that has to do with the 9 months of me DJing and the BPMs and the sound waves that he probably had in his belly while we were on stage a lot of the time. But I find it really cute that he just doesn't like silence. He doesn't. He wants to sleep with the loud music in the background.
We created a monster.
I love it. That's so cool.
A little DJ monster.
Now, I wanted to discuss a little bit about just kind of like in general, like the barriers that you broke, because I think y'all broke so many different barriers in the process of doing what you did, of becoming, community organizers, mothers. Like, what were kind of those big obstacles you faced in building your family, and what needs to change so that it's easier for others to do that?
Ooh, that's such a loaded question. I mean, where do you start, right? Like, we realized that IVF, and I would say not just IVF, but because even gay men, queer people in general, trying to have a baby, the system is so rigged for us to fail. Like, really, truly realizing that and understanding that and calling it out and saying, like, this isn't fair. We're being treated like second-class citizens and just trying to start our own family, that this process should be covered by health insurance. Like, there should be a pathway for us to start our families, like, that isn't, spending every single last dollar you have and hiring lawyers and going outside the country to just, do surrogacy or doing surrogacy here or whatever it is. It's like, it's designed for us to not get this far. So for us, we really had to, one, just like call a spade a spade. Like, we knew this wasn't going to be easy, and accepting that there was going to be a bunch of hurdles, and that, it was as frustrating as it was, as hard as it was, like, we needed to share our story and our journey to let people know, like, it's possible.
There are
other options. There are other ways to do it. There are extremely, very cost-effective ways to do it. And there are more expensive ways to do it. But if you want to do it, don't think that it's not an option for you. Because I think for us, when we had the information, it was like information overload. And we were like, oh, I don't know, like, it's a lot and it's going to cost a lot. And we always thought like IVF was for like, rich, well-off people who could afford something like that. But that's not the case. Like, you can totally budget. There are mini IVF. There's not even IVF. There's IUI. There's like all these different ways. And then even on the surrogacy front, like, hearing our like gay men, stories of like how they're trying to get their, pregnancy and like family journey going, it just felt really unfair. Like, we were all sharing the same amount of like fatigue and woes with it, but we all had the same goal, is like, we have to win, right? Like, if we give up, again, on a system that wasn't designed for us to win, then they win, and
right.
the biggest question that we kept getting is like, how do you feel about like bringing life into this world with like the world that is the way that it is? And the way that we always rationalized with it was just like, this world doesn't get better unless better people are brought into this world. It keeps getting worse because worse people keep making worse people. But I'm like, if we create a life that we felt like he's going to have all the love and support and, you know, hopefully the guidance, you know, that we wish that we had when we were growing up, and he gets to live that life and hopefully impact others in a positive way, then there's a chance, right? But if better people don't make other better people, then there's never going to be change. So that was like the reason why we also were just like, we want to start a family. We're going to give it our best shot, however it may look like, and accepting the fact that, you know, it is going to be hard, but most importantly, it's not impossible. So we're sharing our journey to let others know that it is 100% capable for you if that's what you want to do. And again, we don't come for money. We don't have a family support system. We don't have like a backing. We have like a very small selective group of friends and a dream and like an iPhone. Like that's really, really it. And if we could do it and figure it out, like it's not impossible. So if you have even like some of those things or more things than we have, then you got this. There's a way. There's always a way to figure it out. And especially if you have a supportive partner. And I think those are like, you know, really big keys. And as we're balancing motherhood and our lives and like everything that we're doing, it really is just like, we got each other. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to like tap one another when you're feeling weak, when you're feeling tired, and when you need a break. It's not taking things personally. It's understanding that like there are two people who are going through this journey together and both feeling different things. And we're not going to get it 100% right 100% of the time. I have definitely fallen short. You have fallen short. We have like been running on zero sleep and have forgotten certain things sometimes, but you know, we appreciate the patience that people are giving us. And, you know, we're going to keep showing up for our community and this new version of us in this new chapter as we like navigate it. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. And then I have this last question here for the deep space dive I have for y'all is a message for the future. So if Jayden is listening and watching this episode 20 years from now, what is one thing you want him to know about this specific moment that you're in right now? And it could be about how much you love him or about the community and resilience and joy that you brought to bring him into this world. But just any message you want to share with Jayden 20 years from now.
I think the only message that I would want to share to him is that his moms are badasses. Like, I think if there's anything that I just want him to understand, like, we're not quitters and we're queens of pivoting. And if we can get this far with 2% of what he has, there is no ceiling. Like, he should be able to do whatever he wants and achieve all the goals.
I love that so much. So sweet. Oh, man.
He's so loved. I hope he knows how loved he is and like how hard it was to get him here and that we would do it again in a heartbeat. And everything we do for him. And we just hope that we make him proud. And I hope that he's proud of the two crazy moms that he has and that we're crazy about him. And we feel so, so grateful that he's in our lives, and we hope the feeling's mutual. We hope to be the parents that he wants to be around. And
Of course. Cool. I love that. Awesome. So that concludes the deep space dive, but I do have 5 really quick questions to ask y'all that'll wrap this interview up. All right, that brings us to the final frontier, our signature closing segment where we ask every guest the same 5 questions to wrap things up with some fast takes, real talk, and a peek at what makes Eden and Jay, and Jayden. So answer as quickly or as thoughtfully as you'd like. There are no wrong answers. The first question I have for y'all, and I think this one is very, very on brand, is what is your go-to queer anthem that never fails to get you pumped?
What's yours?
I think Rihanna's Found Love in a Hopeless Place.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think that always gets me going.
I love Whitney Houston, the
Dance with Somebody.
That was like, I think the song that I first came out to, like in my first like gay club experience. And I feel like it's always nostalgic for me to hear.
I love that. Both great songs and artists. If your queer identity came with a warning label, what would it be?
Oh, my warning label would be like, just own it. I think I've started to question a lot of like being bisexual. It would just be so much easier if I picked one to like appease people. Like it would be easier when I would go on a date with a guy to just be like, I'm straight. Be easier to be like, I'm a lesbian when I'd go on a date with women. But standing my ground and like accepting that I am bisexual and that is who I am, and there's no shame in that, and to just own it and feel confident in it sooner, you would not go through such like heartache in the sense of not feeling good enough. And when it's actually the other way around, like the person who doesn't accept me for who I am isn't good enough on the other end of this table, and that you will find somebody who loves and accepts you for who you are, and that's the person who's meant to stay. So
Love that. What about you, Jay?
I think mine would have been be your authentic self. I think coming out at such a young age, I was easily influenced, or I was trying to be someone that I wasn't a lot of the times, especially when it comes to like my culture and my community. Like I think I code switched a lot when I was younger. And so that would have been my warning sign.
I feel like I have one for you, actually.
Oh,
yeah, because you say I see it a lot in her, and she says it. She's like, if I could talk to my queer self, I would let them know it does get better.
Oh, yeah, that's another one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does get better, because that's true. Mm-hmm. I mean, my 16-year-old self would be dying right now to know that we have a baby and I have a beautiful wife, like a 10.
And you're who you are. You didn't need to change.
And I didn't have to change anything.
That's right. I love that so much. Next question is, if you could have a queer superpower, what would it be? It could be as grounded or as fantastical as you'd like.
Oh, if I could have a queer superpower, what would it be? My queer superpower would be like, maybe it's just like when I hear a lot of people's like stories of like pain and like hurt and stuff, like I really want to be that person that can just like take it away and make them feel like it's going to be okay. So if I could have a superpower that I could just be like, I just give you a hug and it makes you feel better. And like all of that you're feeling and that anguish and that hurt, like I want to like take that away from you. And that would be my superpower.
I love that.
I don't know if that's a cool one.
No, I think it's great. It's great. It could be as grounded or fantastical as you'd like. I think that's a fantastic one. Not even fantastic. Fantastic.
I think.
What about you?
I think mine would be abundance of like self-esteem.
I thought you were going to say money. I was like, let's do that one.
Like confidence. Like I feel like there's abundance of confidence. I feel like that's why we've been getting like
that is your superpower.
That is my superpower. I'm just like blinded by it. Like it doesn't matter if I fail. I'm just gonna do it anyway.
What gives you the confidence? Delulu.
Delulu.
Super Delulu. That would be her superpower.
Super.
I love that. What is one piece of queer content, past or present, that has shaped you into you?
Carmen from the L Word.
There you go.
Through and through, because like that was like my coming out moment for sure, because I saw a femme Latina who was gay that was like into women, and the moment I saw her, that's when it clicked for me that that's my sexuality. It's like, oh no, I'm into women, and she looks like me. I mean, even though I don't think she's actually Latina, or I don't know, is she? I don't think so. I think she plays Latina.
She plays Latina. I don't think she is.
But I don't think she's Latina. But it's the when you're able to see something that, you never thought was possible, it gives you the confidence and the space to be able to do it for yourself. And without that moment, I think my coming out would have been even later in life, until I just bumped into a queer Latina who looked like a girly pop. And so I think that's also why it's like, so important. And for you, what was the question?
But the question was, what is one piece of queer content, past or present, that has shaped you?
Oh, you know what it was? But
Miss Honey from Matilda?
No.
That was your
Yeah, I like Miss Honey. But I would say, But I'm a Cheerleader, for me, I watched the movie But I'm a Cheerleader when I was too young to watch that movie. Like, I think I was like 12 or 13 or something when I saw it. And that was like, whoa, like there's queer characters. There's two girls who fall in love.
They end up together. It's actually like a happy ending.
They end up together.
Happy ending.
Spoiler alert.
Never happens in queer movies. So that for me was like an eye-opening, because I knew I was gay like super early. Like I was already crushing on my teachers when I was 10 years old.
And Miss Honey from Matilda.
I love that.
Glasses.
Awesome. And then
too.
Kelly Kapowski was my biggest crush.
Oh, Kelly Kapowski. Yeah, she was everyone's.
Topanga from Boy Meets World. I mean, I can go
like
on
who she
and
ended
on.
up with. I think there's a type.
I love it so much. And finally, where can people find y'all, stay connected with all that you have going on, and any upcoming stuff that you want to mention before we wrap?
So you can follow us on EdenXJ on everything, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We also have a podcast too called EdenXJ Unfiltered that we are completely revamping, and we can't wait to have you back.
But there's 2 seasons.
But there's going to be a second season, like a whole new version with this new chapter and everything.
You can find Preciosa Night on TikTok and Instagram, and it's Preciosa Night. And then our up and coming shows, I think the fact that we're throwing a festival on August 17th on Sunday.
We have our annual Halloween parties that everyone looks forward to, both in LA and in New York. LA is going to be a Halloween party on the 25th, and then New York, we're doing a Dia de los Muertos party on November 1st. So that's going to be really exciting. And I don't know if we can kind of maybe speak to this, but we got asked to plan someone's wedding. So we're going to be doing our first wedding as Eden and Jay Preciosa wedding plan.
The wedding, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that goes. The yes never stop yesing. So we're gonna see how it goes. So we'll keep you posted on us as wedding planners now.
Knowing how y'all put together events, I'm sure it's gonna be freaking amazing. So like I expect honestly nothing less, because they're gonna the people that are getting married are gonna be blown away with anything and everything y'all create. So I think that's going to be they're in for a treat, really. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I hope so too.
Yeah, absolutely. Aiden and Jay and Jayden, thank you so much for sharing your journey from the beats on the dance floor to the quiet moments of rocking Jayden to sleep. You've shown us that queer spaces don't just shape nights out, they shape lifetimes. You've created the kind of love, resilience, and visibility that can raise a child with the whole power of a community behind them. Because when queer families thrive, it's not just a personal win, it is a cultural one. And when we build spaces that are intentional, inclusive, and joyful, we don't just change night, we change the world that our kids will inherit. Whether your legacy is a festival, a family, or both, like Eden and Jay, make it bold, make it loving, and make it yours. And until next time, thank you, Eden and Jay. Stay curious, y'all.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Queerest Podcast. Thank you for joining us on this cosmic journey through the queer universe. If today's conversation resonated with you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your chosen family. Your voice helps grow the queerest community. Until next time, stay curious.